Hey, hey, hey. Episode number 7. Lucky number 7. Here we are. Just going to take a moment to reflect on where we've been since January 20th. I believe that was when I officially hit publish. The day after I had this really awesome dinner to launch this thing, but nobody who came to the dinner actually knew it was for the podcast. So I kind of forced myself to launch by telling everyone that. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. So, this is about why I love therapy. Okay. And basically, why therapy has been a hugely transformative tool for me when it comes to tackling all kinds of adversity. Adversity within myself, like my own limitations, overcoming those. Adversity as a parent, adversity within a family, adversity at work, adversity anywhere, right? With health, with physical health, mental health. Therapy is basically, I was thinking about it, therapy is basically a way for you to say, hey, for an hour a week or for an hour every 2 weeks, I am going to create a space where I talk to a trained professional about what I'm going through, how I'm feeling. And it's so awesome because they've literally gone to school for this, studied the human brain. They are also humans, so they too know how it works and how hard it can be. But it's amazing, no matter what family you have or good friends you have, because I have a great family and great friends, but there's something about therapy that I would say in the last year has been hugely transformative for me. So I just wanted to keep it real. And it was funny when I posted the first story for this yesterday saying, hey, episode number 7 coming up tomorrow. I actually was at therapy. I go every 2 weeks, and I was waiting to start, and I just looked at her chair, and it's such a cute little chair, and it was raining, and it's in this cute little corner of her house, and there's like roses outside. So I feel like I'm going to have tea and talk about life every time I go. I saw the pillow, and I was like, this is really like a moment. So it's just the picture of the chair, and the pillow says inhale, exhale. And I just, without thinking, I was like, I'm going to record an episode about therapy and why I think it's freaking awesome. And then I posted it, and I was like, wow, everybody who follows me is going to know that I go to therapy. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling vulnerable. But that's okay, because guess what? Therapy's freaking awesome. You don't even have to be going through a life crisis to benefit from therapy, although that also is very effective. I speak from personal experience. It can pull you out of the dark cave of whatever's going on in your life, and whatever's going on in your head, and really help you. And then it can also just help you improve when you're doing great. So it's interesting. A year ago, if you would have said, you're going to be hosting a podcast and talking about therapy and how you're going and how it helps you go through adversity, I'd be like, negative, because I was in the shitter mentally. But it's funny how therapy, exercise, listening to podcasts, and then being around good people, therapy is just a huge ingredient in that whole pie of those things that literally kind of just have transformed me over the last year. But this episode is about why therapy is awesome, particularly why it is awesome for overcoming adversity. All right, let's dig into it. So I'm not really sure how long this episode's going to be, but I know the structure of it. So first, I kind of already started to do that, just talk about my experience with it and why I think it's awesome. And then I'm going to share some really interesting kind of quotes and facts about therapy, just to throw a little data, science, research, throw some smart people stuff behind it instead of just my own experience as a human. All right. Well, I will say, off the cuff here, therapy has been huge for me to just really look at myself, every aspect of myself, the parts I like, the parts I don't like, and just really constantly be like holding a space for myself to talk about them with a trained professional who is non-judgmental, excuse me, and who just actually makes you feel really normal for the things that you talk about, you know? So sometimes I go in there and talk about work. Sometimes I go in there and I talk about body image. Sometimes I go in there and I talk about, my tendency in the past to people please, right? Just always trying to, like I've talked on previous episodes, getting people to like me, which now through my transformation, I'm like, what the hell were you doing? But little therapy and here I am. Anyway, therapy's amazing. I am fortunate to work for a company, ServiceNow, where we have Lyra Health and you literally get 25 free sessions. It's amazing. And I'm just so grateful to work for a company that provides that. And I'm just grateful that people are having the conversation that therapy is not weird. Therapy does not mean you're damaged. We're all damaged, whatever. Therapy means that you want to be self-aware and want to work on yourself with a trained professional so that you can be happier with yourself and a better energy for those around you. Sounds pretty freaking awesome to me. So that's why I do it every 2 weeks. And I graduated to, just going every 2 weeks because I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling awesome. But I would like to keep working on myself. I would just love to always be in therapy and like being like, hey, what's on your mind? What comes out? What are you working on? Like last week, I talked to her just about celebrating some wins that I had recently about just kind of like asserting myself and saying, hey, I need more time on this or whatever it is. Years ago, I would just bend over backwards to the point of like being exhausted. And now I'm learning through therapy kind of tools and little homework assignments that she gives me, like how to improve myself in every area: work, parenting, as a partner, as a friend, as a daughter, as an aunt. It's clearly working because I finally grew some balls and launched this podcast after thinking about it forever and being frozen in fear. Therapy unlocked my podcasting, for better or for worse. Thank you, therapy. So yeah, you know, I just am a huge fan of it. I think it's so healthy. I think I really admire people who talked about it before anybody talked about it, like Kevin Love and the Kevin Love Foundation wrote a whole big thing about, I think it was a letter. Gosh, I should have researched this before, but I'm just kind of talking off the cuff right now. He basically wrote an open letter and published it about how he had a panic attack in the locker room and how he needed to see a therapist and like figure it out. And now he's doing great. And he started the Kevin Love Foundation to just kind of normalize the conversation, especially for men, that it's okay to go to therapy. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means that you have a growth mindset and want to work on yourself. It's actually kind of badass. Self-awareness is amazing. And then there's another podcast I listen to called Therapy Thoughts, Tiffany Rowe, where she has like a shirt that says therapy is cool. So I got to buy one of those because it is. It is very cool to work on yourself, and it's cool to laugh, cry, do whatever you need to do because you come out of there and you're like, okay, that's what's going on today. So let's work on that. I always admire people who are willing to work on themselves because it's not easy to kind of like check your ego at the door and be like, yeah, I'm really reactive. Or yeah, oh, I'm defensive. Shit. Okay, let's work on that. But hey, self-awareness is half the battle. So anyway, if you work somewhere, check into the benefits because a lot of companies these days are really, really prioritizing, well-being and mental health. There's been a ton of cultural shifts around it, right? Like workplace support is huge. So many workplaces recognize the importance of mental health, well-being. So you've got like, employee assistance programs. You've got therapy as part of that offering. So look into that. I didn't even know that we had this until I kind of dug around. So these days it's everywhere, especially if you are working for an employer that really is investing in it. Um, so yeah, I think at this point, that was an awkward transition, but that's okay. I'm awkward. I'm just going to read some more interesting things. Instead of talking about my therapy experience, I'm going to read some quotes and stats about therapy and why it's amazing. Okay? All right. This is by Mary Pfeiffer in Letters to a Young Therapist. Therapy isn't radio. We don't need to constantly fill the air with sounds. Sometimes, when it's quiet, surprising things happen. I can definitely relate to that. It's funny, the last 2 times I've gone, we've just been chatting. It's been raining. She even made me a cup of tea. It was just amazing. And there were some silences and where I was like having realizations where I'm like, oh, I'm still doing that. Or, I'm still, looking for validation. And, we were just talking about a certain situation. I'm like, why do I need that validation? I thought I was past that, but I realized that in the silence. So I'm someone that, as I've been told, likes to fill the air. So I'm working on kind of learning from those quiet moments. All right. Next one about therapy. This is funny. Johnny Carson. In Hollywood, if you don't have a shrink, people think you're crazy. That's funny, but we're not in Hollywood. So, anywho, some quotes about therapy, some interesting studies. So, the effectiveness of online therapy, because a lot of us obviously working from home, we're busy, got kids, don't got kids, whatever your life situation is, you're busy. So research indicates that online therapy, also known as teletherapy or telehealth, can be as effective as in-person therapy for many individuals. A study published in the Journal of Psychological Disorders found that online cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, was equally effective in treating depression as face-to-face CBT. So, bingo, if you are hesitant to start therapy, you're like, oh, I don't want to drive, or I don't want to sit across from someone. Online therapy. Do it. It's amazing. Just at least give it a chance. I'm sure there's something that you're wanting to talk about. All right. It is growing in popularity. According to a survey by the American Psychological Association, the percentage of Americans who reported seeking mental health treatment has been steadily increasing over the past decade. No shock that in 2020, 37% of adults said they had received therapy or counseling from a mental health professional compared to 27% in 2009. So that's not obviously taking into account that's a little bit of an older stat, but the pandemic certainly escalated that, but I'm just glad to see that more people are open to it because being human is weird. And sometimes you just need someone to advise you on how your brain's working. So yeah. As far as gender, research suggests that women are more likely than men to seek therapy. Not too surprising there. A study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology, I actually took that class in college, it's kind of interesting, found that women are nearly twice as likely as men to have received mental health treatment in their lifetime. While with approximately 29% of women and 17% of men reporting therapy or counseling. So kind of interesting. The guys need to get to therapy. You don't have to tough it out. Just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. But yeah, I think more and more celebrities opening up. That's obviously huge. If you're high profile and you have that platform, kind of opening up about your own struggles and experiences in therapy, just having like well-known figures normalize that. It encourages other people to do the same. So I think it's amazing, along with workplace support, like we talked about. But I'm all over the place because I've got all these really cool stats that I don't know which ones to pick because there's just so many good ones. But If you know me, this is just how I am. I'm all over the place. All right, I got some good ones. Courage doesn't happen when you have all the answers. This relates to therapy. It happens when you're ready to face the questions you've been avoiding your whole life. So I think it's like one for me, just going to therapy now that I'm in my 40s, I'm a little more like open to removing my ego and being a little more self-aware than I was, I mean, every day, right? Um, I had a question like, why did I used to people please so much? What was that about? And I've realized that it's honestly about like an insecurity, right? And sort of a seeking validation outside myself, which is always unpredictable. So in the last year, I have finally learned to validate myself. But if I wasn't ready to kind of ask that question in therapy and like dig into it with a therapist who's been trained and like literally went to school for this and wrote papers and about the human brain, and I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't ready to face those questions of like, why am I like that? And then you just talk and you figure it out with a professional. It's super cool. So this is Carl Rogers. In my early professional years, I was asking the question, how can I treat or cure or change this person? Now I would phrase the question this way. How can I provide a relationship which this person may use for his own personal growth? Freaking love that. My therapist is amazing. She lives right here over in San Ramon. It's like a 10-minute drive. I go to the Starbucks, get my work done, take a little lunch break, pop over, have a cup of tea. Like I said, it's been raining, so she like brings me tea and we talk, and I can see the flowers outside her window. It's kind of amazing. It's like I don't want to leave just because we talk, we laugh. I get emotional most times just because I'm an emotional person. Anyway, no, but it's she creates that relationship where I know that when I go in there, I can just exhale with zero judgment. But she's also going to just like ask questions because there's total trust. So finding the right therapist, I think, is important because if you feel good, you can chat about anything. This is from Augustine Burroughs. I don't even know who that is, but great quote. Think of your head as an unsafe neighborhood. Don't go there alone. Damn, that's funny. And I can relate to that. All right. Let's tie it up here with like two more. Two more. Okay. Okay. I'm overwhelmed and I need to pick something here. Nope. We're gonna cut this out. Cut, 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 cut. Let's see here. We're gonna cut all this. All right. So I'm gonna wrap this up. And this is a great one. Okay. This is kind of what I've learned in therapy, why it's freaking awesome, is it teaches you how to actually feel your feelings. So this is a great one. We don't create our feelings. They simply come to us and we have to accept them. The trick is to welcome them. So I would love to, I'm hoping, guys, by the way, I have two interviews scheduled the next week. So there will be other people on this podcast. Yeah, telling their stories. But there's a couple people that I've learned from on various podcasts about like how to feel your feelings. And therapy teaches you that. So I'd love to have those guests come on and kind of explain that. But therapy is a safe place to feel. And then once you feel it, you talk about it and work through it. And I think having that professional person and that safe place to kind of just vent about whatever you're going through, I will be as bold to say that it will change your life. I mean, a year ago, I was not in the best place, and it has completely, in combination with just family and friend support and exercise, and I love my job and like all sorts of things that are positive in my life. Therapy is a big one. So I just want to say, especially if you're going through adversity right now and you have access to therapy through your work, or you go to, all the various therapy, the online BetterHelp, um, Talkspace, Headspace, there's all sorts of different ones that you can just download. Do it. It's really worth it, even to just try a session and just feel like you got to get those feelings out. So I hope you found this enjoyable and informative and inspiring. And I hope a little bit of my own journey is helpful to kind of just open up that conversation that adversity is normal and therapy is normal and amazing. All right. It is, let's see, Thursday night. I got to publish this because I said yesterday I was going to publish it, and it's still today. So I got to get working. All right. Have a wonderful week and take care of yourself. And I hope that you get some therapy. Oh, man. I am a dork. All right. See ya. Bye-bye.